Well, hi everybody, this is DearMamaSal. It's a very strange looking morning. It's just 10 degrees Celsius here in southern British Columbia, which would make it, I think, about 54 in Fahrenheit. But we've just had a huge storm, and I'm delighted to say that it has decided to stop just in time for me to drive to work. But the clouds I'm looking at ahead of me, actually they're not even clouds. What I'm looking at ahead of me is just solid black. And you notice I'm not wearing a raincoat. I mean, it's not, I'm sure that I'll hit a red traffic light in a minute and I'll show you, but it's just like scary stuff. The sort of stuff you see in the movies but you don't really get in real life is ahead of me. Oops. Yep, I know what you're saying. You should listen to the weather forecast before you leave home, Sal. Yeah, I know. People do that. I don't, but people do. Excuse me. First of all, I listened to the doctors and nurses and one of the survivors from the Orlando attack this morning, and it's just amazing. As they so rightly said, and you can imagine this to be true, you can do 1,001 imitation drills for something like this. You know, they do drills all the time for mass casualty situations, but when it actually happens, it's totally different. And I cannot imagine how horrifying this must have been for all the doctors and nurses dealing with, from what I can gather, some pretty horrific bullet wounds. And obviously our thoughts and prayers go out to the families of those who have passed, and I believe there are 6 that are still in critical care as we speak today, and they're still going through multiple operations. Not necessarily those 6, but the survivors. So, one of the things that I was struck by this morning was the teamwork. And they said that literally, when the word went out that there'd been a shooting, just how many people came out of nowhere. People with nursing training, people with training that they thought might be of value. How many specialists, how many everything, just without being called, just were arriving by, apparently the truckload is what they said. It was just, apparently quite amazing. But the one comment that really touched my soul was one of the senior doctors saying, as he was leaving work, he was passed by people, doctors and nurses coming into work, and he said how many of them were crying, which I think gives you some sort of idea of the toll that this takes on those who provide the care that keeps us alive. And I must say that the survivor that they interviewed, by the name of Angel, which, you have to really query that, he was shot 3 times. And every time it missed a major organ, if you know what I mean. It was like he got shot in the leg twice, he got shot in the hip, but he didn't get shot anywhere where it was going to kill him. And like so many, he says that what he did is he lay down and pretended to be dead. But unfortunately, the shooter, in his weird reality, was going back and reshooting people just to make sure they were dead. How terrifying would that have been if you were playing possum and the shooter comes back and it just starts reshooting people to make sure that they're dead. I mean, why? Why would you do that? I mean, terrible. Anyway, so, but if ever there was an angel that was meant to be alive, I guess it would have to be Angel. And what a great spokesperson he was for everybody, but from both sides. One of the terrifying things that he spoke of was that the rescuer that came in and realized he was alive said, "I need to drag you out. It's the only way I can get you out." Which you can imagine when you've got a damaged hip and so forth. You know, it wasn't a very good scenario, but it got worse. He had to drag him out over broken glass. But I don't know about you. If that's the only way you're going to save my life right now, that would be good. You know, I'm sure I wouldn't like it. I'm sure it would be extremely painful, and I'm sure I will, you know, bear the scars for the rest of my life. But if that can save my life, you go right ahead. So I think, again, I don't know why, but whenever I hear things like this, I think about those of you who are listeners who have some serious stuff going on, and you know who you are. And I think it is good for the rest of us to remember that you manage to carry on every day and do all sorts of things, while the rest of us bitch and moan about regular stuff. And I can imagine, quite honestly, how frustrating that must be, and how angry some of you must get, until you find peace and just go, you know, let us not judge one another, let us just know that everybody suffers their pain at different levels, depending on their ability to cope, I guess. But I did want to give a shout out to all of my viewers who are either medically trained, nurses, caregivers of any sort. Sorry, I'm listening to the rain pelting down on top of my car. Anyway, all those medical people and their support staff, we thank you for doing what you do. We thank you for the selfless way in which you do it, and all of us know you don't get paid nearly enough to do what you do. So let's give a shout out to you guys today. And for all of the viewers that I know have reason to utilize your services. Yeah, there are a few that aren't brilliant people that get into the profession, and you know who they are. But you know, on the whole, I would say the people who do the job deserve all the thanks and credit we can give them. Now, on the broadcast at the weekend, we were discussing security, because I am deeply touched by the concern that a lot of my regular viewers and other viewers have for my safety at VidCon after this thing. Now, if you don't know, VidCon is a huge deal. It's not a little deal, it's a huge deal. 20,000 people attended. And as I had said on the broadcast, and maybe even on the vlog already, that even before this went down, VidCon had advised us that there would be a perimeter through which we would have to go prior to reaching the Trade and Convention Center, the Anaheim Convention Center, which made me feel very good. I mean, it's going to be a pain at the time, because you know it's going to be more delays and stuff like that getting in to the area. But I understand why, and I'm sure we'll all be very patient and do what we can to make that as painless as possible. Of course, you know, for me, if I'm in a lineup, I have great fun hugging people anyway. I'm going to be wearing my free hugs button. So, but you know what happened last night when I got home, and I wasn't surprised to get it at all, because I'd been talking about this during the broadcast. I said, I think one of the safest events in the country will be VidCon. Why? This Orlando thing happened just before it. I am very certain that they are well aware how many superstar vloggers they are going to have in that building, and how many psychos could possibly be out there. So what I said to my viewers is, I personally believe that VidCon will be one of the safest places to be in many ways. And so when I got home from work last night and opened up my email, I was not surprised to see an email from VidCon discussing upgraded security. I just smiled and went, you see, I told the viewers they would be doing this. Now, obviously, I'm not going to intimately discuss the plans that they have, even though 20,000 people know about them, and presume that everybody got the same email I did. But what I did want to say is that the reason that I wasn't overly traumatized about it is because I knew that would happen. And it's really interesting to see some of the security measures that they've put into place. It's really interesting to see just how many plainclothes security there will be there. And how many of them will innocently be sitting in the audience, just in case. Now, the one sad thing, and it is sad, the one sad thing is that normally after the panels, you get to interact a little bit with the stars. And I say the stars, but you get to interact with the talent, if you like. Or some people do. You'll remember last year I got to go and say hi to Anna and give her a hug. That won't be happening this year. I have a feeling they will be escorting the big talent in and escorting them straight out again afterwards. So, which is a good thing. I mean, sad for those of us who love to meet them, but a good thing, because they will be that much safer. And there's part of me going, I wonder how many people I can find with little curly white or black, you know, wires hanging down the side of their neck. Oh, you know, I'll be on the lookout for that. So for those of you who are concerned, understand I will be pretty darn safe. Unless, of course, I happen to be in the path of a psycho, in which case I don't think any amount of security is going to really help, quite honestly. After that, it's the luck of the draw, and I do that every day just driving my car. I've just seen a van parked in somebody's driveway with the window half down. That'll be pretty wet when they go to sit down. It's the driver's window. Sorry. I shouldn't chuckle, should I? No. laughing because it's happened to me. Oh, shush, you silly thing. Because it's happened to me, that's why I'm laughing. And then how do you just, explain to everybody why you got a wet seat? And they will look at you and go, So thank you for those of you who wrote about yesterday's vlog. I know I owe somebody an email. Somebody wrote to me a long email and I promised I'd get back to them. I just hit more editing problems last night and didn't get a chance to go back to that email. So whoever you are, I haven't forgotten about you. I just literally got really overwhelmed with stuff. So be patient with me. I'm hoping to be able to get to it tonight. All right, everybody, have a super day and stay safe. And staying safe doesn't mean don't do anything. Just be more aware. When I say be more aware, but keep your eyes around about you. Before you open your car door, make sure you know what's going on around you. If you're walking alone, try not to walk alone. If necessary, walk fairly close to somebody else. When I say fairly close, but close enough that if anything happened, they would be able to swing and protect you if they were that way inclined. And from all the watching I've done of that program, What Would You Do? It appears that women are more likely to get involved than men. It's interesting, isn't it, that women are more likely to turn and help a victim than a man is. Now, for all you men out there, I know you're different. But I did find that very interesting from watching that program, how many times the men just said, let it be, and the women said, no, I can't sit and watch this. I found that very interesting. I think sometimes our fear of confrontation, our fear of not getting involved stands in the way of fairness and justice. So the word for today is be safe and security. That's a lot of words for a word today. Oh, shush. And just be very aware of what's going on. The other thing, I don't care whether you're on an airplane, whether you're in a store, whether you're in anywhere. Get into the habit, because it's smart, to see where your nearest exits are. And I know if you're walking through this supermarket or whatever, you keep changing your location, but get to know the exits. Get to know that if anything happened here, this would be my nearest exit. Or this would be the quickest way, even if it's out of the way and into the prep areas, or to the washrooms. Just be aware that life isn't that safe. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't enjoy it. What it means is that we need to be aware. This is DearMamaSal saying thank you so much for being there. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Click on the little picture of me in the corner. If you want to know more about what we do, read below. All the links are there. This is DearMamaSal saying I send you a big virtual hug, and we'll chat soon. Stay safe. And bye-bye for now.